Who was the fight of the year in 2021? Coach, just break it down to me and let me know exactly what your thoughts are on the subject at hand. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to get into that right now on the last edition of the Fight Show of 2021. In an epic year of boxing, we are about to get one in for the record books. And I got to send a special shout out to all of my brothers out here who are watching out in Fightland. I'm sorry for the delay. We had some technical difficulties, but it is about to go down right now. And with no further ado, we are going to go over the top 5 fights of 2021. There were a lot of great fights this year, but the ending is going to be extremely funny because I came to a serious conclusion and it's not the obvious. So you got to take this with a grain of salt and make sure that you're chiming in and let me know where you are from because this show is about you, my fans, my audience. I'm a supporter of you and whatever it is that you do. And now we're looking forward to getting it popping. We had to get it going down here in South Florida. The show is going on, and there were a lot of great fights. And we're going to start off with the top 5 fights. People, let me know where you from. Let me know where you at. I see you chiming in and jumping in, and I'm looking forward to doing this one. It's been a while. We've been doing things over in the Secrets of Boxing group. For those of you who have not taken part in moving over there, we're going to move it one step further and we're going to take it and show you what we've been doing over the past 2 months or so. What's going on, my man? From Indiana, the Hooserville is in the house. Good to see you, man. You got a boxing gym? You go to a boxing gym out there in Indiana? Or, I mean, the only people I know from Indiana are like Michael Jackson and those guys. Paul Harbor, what's up, my brother? School of Boxing in the building over here in Alsea. Special shouts out to my brother from the School of Boxing. We are in the house representing, and I am looking forward to hearing some good things. I'm going to go over some questions, and I got a couple of trivia questions for some of you boxing aficionados. Like I said, this was a great year in boxing. We got to take this with a grain of salt. How many epic things happened? How many upsets? But it's called upsets for you who are not in the sport. But when you go to the gym every day and somebody else is going to the gym every day, it's not an upset. It's just another day at the gym. And that's what we're trying to make sure that you all have total clarity on, that the boxing gym has a life of its own. It's an entirely different world. Let me see what's my man. And you're from Nigeria. You're a boxer? Yeah, I try to just do my job and try to educate, man. So you continue to do what you do, train, don't take shortcuts, invest in your destiny, and continue to learn. Listen to those who are teaching you, because sometimes you are a better person for being a better listener. When you know everything, it's hard to really improve. So that's my advice to you, young man. Just keep working and keep pushing and don't worry about it, because even super rich people have good and bad days. They will never leave you. Days go like this because your whole life is about catapulting and going on a journey. And what happens when you need to feel greater? You have to have a deficit, so you push through that deficit and then you feel better. That's a good message for those who always want to have great days. You got to push through things. And we've been pushing through and making sure that at the same time there's a balance of good things. So look at the guys who have lost last year in 2020. Those guys came back in 2021, or some of them didn't even fight. I don't think Camosis fought, but like once in over a year, came back and won in spectacular fashion. Look at all of these different stories of all of these different situations of guys happening. and you pay attention and realize it's important to have tough times so you can um, what you call journey yourself through them, and it feels so much sweeter when you've done it. What's going on, my man? Bossa. Michigan's in the house. What's going on, Wolverines? Special shouts out to Michigan. You guys got a boxing gym out there? Let me know. Give them a shout out. What's up, Maydad? You are from Sydney, Australia. All right, I got to connect you and my friend Paul. Paul, you got a homie on the feed, brother. This is a good one. I like it. Good. You got a boxing gym up there, Bondi Boxing Gym. Super. I love to hear more about them. Make sure you give us some information on them. We have to connect with all of the sports world. When it comes down to the sport of boxing, we make sure we know who is everywhere. And we're going to get some Q&As because I have 5 questions that I had to answer. You know, I have to make sure I answer my boxing audience. What's going on, Armel? Hammer in the house. How you doing? Where you from? You go to a boxing gym and you do boxing fitness? You a fan of boxing? Or you probably are because you're on the page. Let me see. Everything is good. We in the boxing hood, surrounded by the WBC. Bing, bing. And the IBF in the house. Mm. We're just getting it in for those who are on this page and support us. And over on YouTube land, special shouts out over there. We have our new community over on YouTube, and we started that. We had the channel, so we up with some 30,000 subscribers on the channel over there. But what we decided that we needed to do for our community needs to be. So if you want to support us, go over here and follow Master Boxing over on YouTube, because we're going to be doing some very in-depth personal things, really, really build our community. And really, because I got a lot of people that follow us, but we haven't built a community, so we're doing that. So go over there. You got to not subscribe, but you have to become a member of our community, and you get special perks, and of course, you get that smoke and access to all of the things that we offer, like film studies and pre and post fight stuff and skills training and clinics and things like that, material to get better at what you're doing. So that's kind of how we shaking out. 2022 is going to look marvelous, and we're launching a beautiful new, just totally. I don't know. I can't even put words in. We worked so hard to get it. It's just such a blessing to be able to share it with all of you all. And special shouts back to you, John, my man. Hi there. And Predator and then Boxer from Nigeria, looking forward to become world title holder in the near future. Well, yeah, Key, you got to think optimistic, but you got to have a game plan B too. One coach wanted to know, so we're going to go over some questions for the next 5 minutes. We're going to go over a few of the questions that people have asked over this time, and then I want you all, while we are going through this, to list your top 5 fights. I've got my top 5, and what we're going to do is compare the top 5. As a matter of fact, who's your favorite fight of the year? Start with that one and then add 4 more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from my number 5. My number 5 was really, really interesting. And I said, why did I pick it? Why did I do that? Number 5, I based it on impact to the sport, message sent, and overcoming a super hurdle. Barrios versus Tank Davis earlier this year. That fight was one of the fights. Once I realized and did a lot more research on Barrios, when I realized how much of a monster he was, I equate him, because see, I've trained fighters like that. And I equate him to one of the guys who was in our camp. His name was Les Ralston. He actually fought Sergio Mora back in 2005, the same year that Sergio Mora went on the Contender and ended up winning. Sergio Mora is a pure boxer. Our guy who was in our training camp, his father's name is Doc. And matter of fact, he left a comment on the page, so he's probably a following the page. So if you are Les, special shouts out to the Ralston family. But he fought Sergio Mora, and I'm just going to say, when you got a fighter who's a more of a puncher, I would say similar to Jack Dempsey, but Jack Dempsey had more wrinkles. But Les can hit you hard in the chest and knock you through the ropes. He had that smoke. He had just that natural ability to punch hard. So he thought he really would. His father felt that he could lean on that when he was fighting Sergio Mora. So Sergio Mora, of course, is a slick, pure boxer, and he was young and vibrant then, and no one knew him. So he hadn't even went on a Contender and won the show yet. So he comes out. This was on NBC right before the Olympics. A matter of fact, yeah, it was the Olympic Games. Might have been 2000. No, it was the Nationals. They was doing like all of these different, was it Pan Am? Anyway, major tournaments were going on. So much happening in our life because I was in the gym at the highest level then. He goes out. Les Ralston comes out and tries to get these big shots on it. He walks like Jack Dempsey. He talks almost like Jack Dempsey because he's from New York. But the thing about it is he couldn't land punches like Jack Dempsey because Sergio Moore was throwing combinations. Boom, very New York style, like Yuri Boy, Yuri Campus, not Yuri Boy Campus, but Yuri Foreman. Yuri Foreman, a pure boxer, very slick with his hands, beautiful footwork, left to right, fights just like Usyk. Usyk fights just like Yuri Foreman. So those of you who do not know Yuri Foreman, great boxer out of one of my people's gym, Bruce from Gleason's over there. He was whipping the set. Yonkers, New York. This kid is nice, but he had a bum leg. His knee gave out. He even fought Cotto, but his legs was gone then. He gets in the ring, not Yuri Foreman, but Les Ralston gets in the ring against boom, boom, Sergio, and Sergio, pop, pop. Now Sergio commentates on the zone. So special shouts out to Sergio Mora. I don't like the fact that he put the smoke on my guy, but he did such a beautiful boxing lesson to him. I mean, hands, pop, 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 in and out, and he was gone. And Les was loading up with big shots, throwing big shots, body and head. He could not get it. And what we do when we find a guy who loves his power, what we do is turn him. Just stay on the pivot. Stay on the pivot. Stay on pop, 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 and bringing the smoke to the kid. And what you saw was an absolute boxing lessons, 8 rounds to none. It was an 8-round fight, and it was the first awakening because he had never lost before. It was the first loss, and it was the catapult of Les Ross. I mean, the catapult of my man Sergio Mora's career. And then he went on, won the Contender, not just fought in it, and went on to become a world champion boxer. But I knew he was going to be because I know what it looks like. So with that being said, I based everything when I think of being in that ring against a guy who's just on another level stature-wise. When Tank went in there and fought that kid, he had to bring, because he went up a weight class, basically. You know, this kid is 5'11". He's walking around middleweight, and he's fighting at 140. And so when Tank fights this kid, he beats him. And I don't, I'm not on no fanboy stuff. Special shouts out to my guys, Patrice Harrison out there. Harris, he's working with my man from Creed, Michael B. Jordan, right now up in DC. So special shouts out to him. Hopefully y'all will be down in Fort Lauderdale soon. But they're getting ready for Creed 3. So everybody, if you're about that boxing movie, Creed 3 will be out this year. So keep your eyes and hats on for that. Special shouts out to the boys over there, Body Head Bangers, Patrice Harris, Coach. Let me see my people. All right, I'm gonna take a couple of. Let me see. I know you got some stuff. Uh, Michigan. Sorry, I'm trying to get a couple other people. I know I saw somebody go up here. I a boxer and forward to become world title holder in near future. Keep working. And somebody else left a message. That was a great fight. I hope he comes back strong. Barrios definitely impressed me. Barrios is a problem. I don't know if anybody else will beat him in the near future. He just has so much tank. And this is the thing. When I say a style matchup, when you got a guy who's short like that, see, Pacquiao used his size to his advantage, being shorter. Tyson used his size to his advantage, being shorter, because he could throw hard punches, big, strong legs, very explosive puncher. Pacquiao, the same savage, big, strong legs, savage puncher. You don't have to have big, giant legs to be a savage puncher, but the fact that they are athletic, very explosive, a lot of quick twitch muscle, they know how to use timing. They both had great defensive coaches and offensive coaches. So Freddie Roach is from the downline of Eddie Futch. Special shouts out to the Futch family. And you looking at Customato, who over the decades just accumulated and developed the peekaboo version that he created. And then there's the Archie Moore version. And then you got the Georgie Benton and the Frazier and those versions. There's just so many different versions of the peekaboo. So it's such a savage offering when you get to be in a camp with a person that's versed in it like that. So yeah, you're seeing some great matchups at that point. But I love Barrios, but that was my number 5. I don't know who you guys have as number 5. Put it down in the comment box. If you drop it down, I'll put it on the screen, showing you some love. But our biggest thing is to get through this list and show how many great fights. But the fact that Tank could pace himself and not get crazy when he landed a shot, what that takes in a gym, when you are in a boxing gym and you're fighting, and you have to know how to stay calm and stay suppressed and not get emotional. It's real. And even when he fought the last fight, he had to really learn and figure out Cruz. You had to figure out how to fight a shorter fighter who comes forward. So he did what you do. You stay on the pivot. And that's what we're going to do to you guys who don't really know how to fight. You got one style, and we make you regret that the whole fight. And then you want to blame people are running. No, we're just setting you back up. Or for me, I taught my fighters, when you make a miss, you make them pay over and over in that sequence. So we run cycles on you. We don't just counter you, pop, pop, pop. Our next move is a body physical move and take control over your body so you can't regain your balance to counter back. So it's no counter on our counter. We never allow that. And if you watched our systems, and if you even watched our fights, that's what you saw, because we were in there to create havoc. We wasn't giving you an opportunity to get it back, because I understood how to teach our fighters how to move you off of your mark after we countered you. So that takes a lot of experience, because there was a day and time when that was happening in our camps, and it was usually to our fighters, and I'm talking about our experienced fighters, because when you go up so high in levels, when you think you got guys that are high level, and then they meet guys that are higher levels and you didn't even think it could be, that's what's going to happen. I tell everybody, you're not going to get in trouble with the stuff you know. What's going to get you in trouble is the stuff you don't know, and it's coming. And that's why boxing is called the sweet science, because no matter how big your ego is, you're going to see what it tastes like when it get burst. You're going to see what's in that bubble that's in your ego. It's going to taste like, maybe not like chewing gum. It's going to probably taste a little bit like Pookie. poo poo because you don't see it coming, man. That's the worst whooping when you don't know it's coming and you just so high on yourself. Deontay Wilder's a great example. So high on yourself that you don't realize that the highest level of boxing is humility. That's why it's tough to fight Tyson right now because he's so humble. uh Floyd's advice between rounds, fuel tank, because yeah, he gave him good advice. He was definitely losing on the scorecards. I don't know if he was losing on the scorecards against Barrios or Cruz. I think he was boxing. I think you saw him in a different light. Now, that's just my opinion, what I see. ESPN hired me to be an analyst. So I mean, I did it for professionally, so I know what to look for. Plus, this is my natural talent. I don't think either one of those guys was winning. I think Barrios was giving him more problems. I think they were fighting. It was an even fight for sure. And I'm not biased. Most people, they don't know how to look at a fight without being biased. Like if the guy, just say for instance, if you're a Mexican and you're watching a Mexican fighter, you're going to score every round for the Mexican fighter because you don't know how to not be biased. If you're a Caucasian and you're looking at a Caucasian fighter fight another race, then you're going to probably score every round for the guy, no matter what he does or how bad he's losing. This is a common thing. That's why when you got judges from different nationalities, different countries, you got to be careful. Don't, this is no new thing. So when I watch fights, I watch what's happening. I watch the footwork. I watch the understanding of where they are inside of the boxing ring. I pay attention to their defense, which is why I gave Canelo the first fight against Triple G, because people were not scoring his ability to take away what Triple G was trying to do. He was defending all of that stuff. He was rolling it. We call that shoulder rolling. And he was in the Philly shell. I'm not going to score like licks that weren't landing just because they was landing on him. They were not clean shots. He was no scars, no bruises, and Triple G is a dynamo puncher. So if he hits you, you're going to be hit. He left Cat split up. You know, all of these guys that he fought, all of them were split up because he's a puncher. He knows how to throw punches. He knows how to hit you medically, meaning he knows how to take your health away by punching you from down angle. So, and that's why we do film study. We do film study in the Secrets of Boxing. We was doing it in the School of Boxing. We go on Zoom and we watch the fights together. We break it down. I educate the fighters, the coaches and trainers, and what you're learning is how many things you don't know. You don't know what you're looking at. If you're not been in boxing for 25 years, because you're gonna keep learning. By the time you get to 20 years, you're still gonna be learning. So if you've been really in boxing for like 10 years, 8 years in it, you still, it's so much you still don't know. You don't know what you're looking at. So I know what even the judges who's supposed to be scoring certain things, they don't score certain things. That's why I do clinics with judges, right? Now we haven't done our American team. We've had Jack Reese on for a chop it up session, but we had Ray Armendariz on for a scoring clinic, and it was great. But people, you had to pay to be a part of that because we also had Haley Zell, we had Chop Corley. We have profound figures in the sport of boxing, and we do those, and that's the perk of being in the Secrets of Boxing group. So let me see what you got here. Floyd's advice. Let me see. Anthony Joshua versus Usyk, Canelo versus Plant. Canelo versus Plant wasn't a fight like that, but because it just didn't bring anything that you didn't know. Like I got fights on the thing that you did not know. Like I didn't just follow the popular fight, but I didn't even like looking at it when I saw it. And I'm the biggest Canelo supporter from broke him down point of view. I was with Canelo when those trivial fights was happening, and because I understand his growth, because everything he does I teach times 10. So if you a real fighter and I showed you the stuff we do, you can pull us our stuff up. We show all of that stuff. I mean, I can do a video on Canelo and show you every move, stuff that we've done 10 years ago, 15 years ago, because what he's doing is nothing new. He's grunt walking, he's rolling, you know, he's rubbernecking, he's doing stuff that everybody knows how to do, that's at the elitist level, not like regular guys, coaches who, working in the amateur ranks. I'm talking guys who really been in, only guys who've been in camps like from George Benton, people like from downlines from Eddie Futch, Emmanuel Stewart. It ain't but like 5 downlines you can be from. My downline is Kenny Adams, Coach K, Bradley, me. Look, that's all in this entire country that you're going to get. You know somebody that's rock with Angelo Dundee. Angelo Dundee was a motivator. He didn't teach styles and techniques and skills like Custy Amato. All right. Catskill ain't even produce new people with that style because it's a weapon. It's not a complete. You got to have someone who can deliver a complete system. Tyson could complete the complete system. So it wasn't more or less the Custy Amato. Custy Amato was a scientist before I even go any further. Tyson's body was a specimen. So what he was able to do, he created his own style. What Tyson did was took what Custy Amato had and turned it into his style, because now everybody's trying to do the peekaboo like Tyson. But there's an Archie Moore version that's the most successful because he's proven that he's knocked out over 140 men. And when you look at Tyson, that's his mechanics. Floyd Patterson don't look like Mike Tyson. Jose Torres didn't look like Mike Tyson. So I proclaim that peekaboo is Mike Tyson's style. The system that he pulled from was Custy Amato, but Mike Tyson took that style and turned it in. And people are trying to copy Mike Tyson because Kevin Rooney tried to use the peekaboo and was getting smoked. Pull up Kevin Rooney versus Arguello and see what it looked like. See what the peekaboo looked like when somebody else tried. So y'all are trying to be Tyson, not Cuss, because Cuss's style, only a few people could be a master. So you got to know how to use just certain excerpts as weapons. And that's kind of what I'm teaching you all, that you got to be careful about doing, getting it confused, because it ain't but one Mike Tyson. And that's his style. He took a man's style to the next level. And that's exactly what Floyd did with Floyd's senior style. He took his dad's style to the next level. And that's why it's called the Floyd Mayweather Jr. style. That's what he's proclaimed, because he's earned it, because he took it to another level. And he wrote his own book on it. Ali took what Sugar Ray Robinson did and made it available for heavyweights. So he took it to the next level, and he was proclaimed the greatest of all time. But pound for pound, Sugar Ray Robinson is one of the prettiest dancers in boxing history. But the greatest fighter in boxing history was the man that did it to his in mid 40s, and that's Archie Moore. And I'm not saying that because he was the most famous. He wasn't. He knew how to do everything in all styles, and he did it when he was old too. They wouldn't even fight him. That's that. If you want to be a fighter, you want to be a fighter that can deal with anything, right? Now we're gonna get on to the next section, and that's who he was. He could fight anybody. Larry Holmes, my cousin. Yeah, every fight. See, see something different. I've been around boxing my entire life, not professional, but a fan. Larry Holmes, my cousin. Yeah, Larry Holmes was a problem. He was a problem. Special shouts out to the Eastern Assassin. He was one of my favorite fighters coming up. I remember when I was trained by you. Truth. Who is Rico? Don't know you that good, but special shouts out to you for hanging on the show. Bobby Day, Special School of Boxing. Now I'm going to go to my number 4 fight. Bam. Stevenson versus Herring. Yes, that was a pivotal moment in boxing. He set the standard. He beat a bigger fighter in a weight class that he said that Herring was coming down to bully the smaller fighters. And I'm going to show him that he don't want this smoke. And not only did he beat Herring, but he dominated even the rounds that Herring was coming on. It was more of a Hail Mary. And that was one of the best clinical delivered fights this year. Matter of fact, it's number 1 clinically because he used more wrinkles. And you're not even supposed to have wrinkles at 23, 24 years old. You're not even supposed to have wrinkles. He was doing stuff that we got charted on our stuff. You know, that's a clinic. What he did to Herring, he pulled his ears off, is what we call that, and stopped him. I mean, basically, shut him down. And that is what you call a clinic. When you doing skills and then you make it second nature, and then you show them that I've also added wrinkles. That's a problem, man. So that was my number 4. My number 3, and y'all can keep weighing in. Drop down your comments. Usyk versus Joshua. This is where I thought Joshua stopped following me on Instagram because I posted that he got his ears pulled off, but he really didn't. It was just surprising as I looked at the fight. I thought about it and I was like, I didn't feel like that when it was happening. I felt like I knew what was happening. You're reforming, just like I told you. Guys with great footwork like that will make you look stupid. And that's all he experienced. He just got made to look like he didn't know what he was doing. He was exhausted because fighting a smaller man sometimes works against you. It's not the same thing. When you fight a great small man with a skill set like that, and that's why we teach the footwork. You got to have great footwork if you want to fight somebody like an Anthony Joshua. That's why Tyson Fury had such a much more of an easy time with Klitschko. He knew how to take him off his mark. He had to move. He had to move him off his spot. Then he had to wait to hold and absorb the punches at the same time. That's boxing. That's pure boxing. And so Joshua versus Usyk, that was an absolute clinic. He came up from light heavyweight. He's doing what Evander Holyfield did, you know, and he looked very dangerous. He even threatened Canelo. I can get down to 200 pounds. I can fight cruiserweight. Be careful sneaking up here trying to take belts. And boy, I don't think Canelo wants that kind of smoke at cruiserweight, but he definitely knows how to pick and choose. And that's why you get into the number 1 spot when you're a boxer. Number 2, I'm going to leave it up to you guys to tell me who you think we got as number 2, because I'm about to show you who's the number 2 fight this year. And I am going to break it down and tell you why. But at the same time, you got to know. I'm going to get to my questions, and then I'm going to come back to the number 2 fight. Let me see. This is what I got all of my questions, and I rounded them up. Can I fight after having, and this is one of my guys from Instagram, he got a little upset at this when I gave him an answer because I messaged him an answer, but I had to put it up on the screen. Can I fight after having less than 10 amateur fights? So that's not a great idea. And the reason why is because you fight as an amateur to learn all of the stuff that you got to learn that's not actually tied to the boxing ring. You got to really learn the tournament system, the ranking system, the methodology, and what weight class you're an amateur. You got to learn how your body will be growing. Like it's so much you got to learn about the red tape, physicals, and being able to do these training regimens and knowing when not to train, because in the tournaments you got fights back to back days. It's so much you got to learn about the amateurs, the rules. Man, it's like 1,000 rules, and if you know the rules, you're going to be a better fighter because you're going to know how to fight to the rules. If you had 10 amateur fights, you still don't know anything because you're just what we call he's a novice. So he's in kindergarten. How many kindergartners you ever seen getting a diploma in high school? It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Right? You can't bypass, you can, but what we call fighters that don't have an amateur career is called opponents, and we just beat them up, and they are just walkover mats. They like sparring sessions in the boxing ring. That's what they are, and that's why you don't do it, because you got to learn so many things. You got to know, where you need to get passports in order to travel around different continents and stuff. And how does the ranking system work? And knowing all the things that your corner people got to know. Everybody's not super experienced. Don't think everybody in your corner is experienced enough to know everything, because you learn new stuff all the time, even in the amateur ranks. And that's why they have level coaches. I came up, there are 4 levels as a coach, as an amateur. Elite is 4. I was coached by a number 6. See, that doesn't even measure. That's the ranking. That's the level. He's coached at such a high level, Olympics and World Series of Boxing. Like there, he was getting levels that weren't even there, and that's why I'm so thorough with my teachings. I understood from a very depth lineage, a very rich lineage, that there's so much more than the people know, and typically don't have an idea. They just and it's not your fault. It's just boxing is a sport like the NFL. It's a sport like the NBA. It's a sport like soccer. There are millions and millions of uh, lanes and layers to it that you don't learn about. So you find people who don't really get a great team around them, and then they really set themselves up for failure. So, with that being said, that's why you got to be careful about going early. It's not because I'm saying I don't want you to do it because of me. I'm just trying to tell you, look, I done been trying to figure it out on the job. It's a lot. It's a lot. And then the people who are working for like the LBC, the amateur commissions and stuff, man, they are all over the place. You can't get stuff when you need it. They can't. I mean, it is so crazy. You got to deal with a lot of different people, a lot of different personalities, and you're just trying to do your thing, and you can't because everybody's got stuff to do, and just paperwork and all kinds of stuff. You got to learn how to figure all of that out. Get sponsors, be affiliate for companies, so you can learn how to become like the guys like Canelo and Conor McGregor, the guys who get endorsed by big brands. You got to get repetition in it so you'll know what to expect. That's why I taught my guys how to do it. How to wear sports brands and also build your own brand. That's why we have the School of Boxing, so you can learn all of those things and teach your fighters. Is the peekaboo made for short fighters? No. Sometimes people ask questions that I'm giving them the answer on our post. We got tall people doing the peekaboo. Andre Ward does the peekaboo, and then you got Canelo who does the peekaboo. It's a weapon. You can use a weapon. You don't stay in a peekaboo all night long. You gotta defend yourself going backwards. You can't defend yourself going backwards in the peekaboo. You gotta shell up, pop, pop. You gotta learn how to roll shoulder. You gotta do all of that stuff. If you're gonna be an elite fighter, all of the great fighters right now, just say you never watched boxing before. Everybody that's got titles, Tyson Fury, Philly Shell, Cutie Style, Camosis, Philly Shell. Look at Canelo. Same thing. You gotta have different styles and wrinkles to in order to be the top fighter. Everybody does. Nobody doesn't. There's no one style kind of guy holding no title. Period. Errol Spence, Shell. And he know how to classic box really good. And he a Southie and he long and rangy. Terrence Crawford, savage package. He does it all. Uses things in spots. What's necessary? You got to get groomed for that. That's why we sell the Champions Bundle that teaches you all of those techniques and skills that you got to learn. You go in there against one of my guys who training their fighters now, you'll really see. You'll see why you need it all. Oh, I only like to use this style. That's why there are no other fighters with titles, because all of the stylists got the titles. The knockdowns and Fury come back for the win heavyweight. Okay. I love Porter versus Spence. And I had Porter, but that was 2 years ago, dude. But it was a great fight. And we were virtually in the camp. We didn't get a chance to make it because my fighter was overweight and I wouldn't let him go to help Coach Porter and them, because you're just overweight. You're not gonna go over there. You're not going to camp to lose weight. We're not going. You're not gonna get in there and get smoked for 2 days before you can get your feet up under you. We ain't doing that, because that's when you come to camp. You gotta be ready. And Coach Kenny Porter was messaging. We was messaging back and forth, and he didn't care. He want. I'm like, nah, I care though. First, I want my man to give you the great work, and two, the thing about it is, in boxing, you hang your hat on your reputation, what you bring. When we bring smoke. If we ain't bringing smoke, we not coming. And I know we still would have performed because my man can fight. He undefeated pro. Puda Paul, special shouts out. But you got to earn your stripes. And plus, like I said, my feet ain't in the game like that. I'm working with the trainers and the coaches in the world and around the world, and that's where my focus is. And that's why we right here are popping the locks on the Institute of Higher Learning down here in South Florida. We're not focusing on fighters. We got the programs and training systems for fighters to learn. And if your coach don't know the stuff, you need to send them to Master Boxing LLC or the School of Boxing so he can get it. Because if your coach is teaching you just classic boxing, you ain't going nowhere. Because you can't name a guy who just had that style. Period. You gotta ante up, man. These days, you gotta be ready, because guys have studied boxing for years and years and years, decades and decades. Uh, so no, the peekaboo, you gotta use it. Who will have the to fight of the year in 2022? Uh, I don't know. Maybe a rematch between Cambosis and Lopez. Nah, I don't know. I don't do that. That's placebo stuff. I ain't get into that, but I ain't. I don't. That's fan stuff. But there are a lot of great fights to be made, and you don't always know what's going to be the fight of the year. You didn't see the Cambosis fight coming, uh, and stuff. So uh, you got to make sure that you keep your head in the game and don't sleep. Period. Point blank. Let me pull up the next one. Uh, let me see. Yeah, this Cambosis fight right here. All right. Biggest thing that you got to pay attention to. Thank you. Let me see. Hold on 1 second. Let me take this one down. All right. Let me see. So the biggest thing is to make sure that when you are looking at these fights that's coming, you got to pay attention to the small things. Let me look at here. Let me look at this comment down here, guys. I ain't mean to leave you off. Do you think Spence versus Crawford fight will happen? Hmm. Ace, I think Spence's feelings got hurt because when he walked out of that fight, when Crawford knocked out Porter, which I said it was going to happen. I said it about then. I think I might have put the 11th round, 10th round. I just knew because Crawford is heavy handed and he knows how to shorten his punches. Um, and I knew that Errol Spence didn't like that. You know, they didn't like that. And he didn't know how to stomach it. And at the same time, he is worried about what that's doing for his overall like perception. And I just think when that hit him in the face, it burst his ego, but it drove him because he went, and I know he got the training. And I know Derek James is no dummy. Derek fought at a high level, and he also was a part of the amateur circuit. So that's the thing about boxing. That's why I advise you to be on the amateur circuit so you understand how much you're going to be facing when you get into the pros. It's so much red tape and so many things. Like you'll be like this, you can't you forget to concentrate on the fight because you're being like your brain is like this constantly. You're constantly your anxieties up because you don't. Anytime you're uncertain about things, where you're supposed to be, where you're supposed to go in line, what line you like, it's constant. It's constant in the amateur circuit. It's there, but it's not polished. So you got to get used to that. And so that's why you see guys who really have their children in the amateur circuit, they're not in a big rush to get them to the pros. And special shouts out to Chris Simmons, Coach Simmons. uh, his son and his kids are doing their thing, winning, accruing, and he's out there doing it the right way. So he'll have all the endorsements moving into the professional ranks when it's time. So you'll be supported, you'll get paid because you've given boxing something back already. He got that Sugar Ray Leonard kind of mantra. That's why you got to go and build your brand in the amateurs. So that's another reason why I tell you not to just jump out here and try to be a pro fighter. That makes sense, guys? All right. All right. So, what advice do you have for new coaches? Is one of the questions that came in this afternoon. And I felt like it was, we got so many new people on the page. We got 6,000 new people on the page this week. Why I think that people should pay attention to this is serious. Because when you are an athlete, your coach is the person that you trust more than anything. And my advice to all coaches is to get education because it was not out there when I was coming up. What you all have access to now is crazy. And a lot of you are still trying to just go figure it out. You just go get your certification and get licensed, and then you just try to figure it. Man, you're never gonna find success like that. It's gonna always be hard. So my advice is to make sure you get up under tutelage, and you need someone that's there that has a lineage, because if you want to grow a fighter's career, you can't do what typical people would do, choices that typical people would make. There's a reason why Errol Spence is not fighting Terrence Crawford. It isn't just about I don't want to fight him. It's because he got experienced people around him. Derek James has done this before, physically, himself, and then with other fighters. It's a process when you handle your professional fighter. And it's the same process when you grooming an amateur to be a top level fighter. You can't just go out here, start throwing people in fights because you think your fighter is a bad fighter. I mean, he can kick some butt. This is boxing. This is way bigger than you. It's bigger than your talent. And believe me, it's a whole bunch of dudes that can kick your butt. And so you got to make sure you have the right information. And that's what we do with our guys over in the school of boxing is to make sure they don't make mistakes like that. And that's a big thing. So that's my advice for all new trainers. Get up under a tutelage. If you haven't heard or inquired, there's people with boxing courses and stuff. A course is a course, but you got to find what we call a place. We have a fraternity where you learn all of the stuff and you can ask questions to somebody, because one thing boxing is stingy with its information. And if you don't have someone serious who's willing to give you that information, it's going to be very hard to find it under a turtle hole. All right. So thanks. That was a great question. It's got some good people on the joint tonight. You guys are sharp, man. Now, let me get back to number 2. Boom. My number 2. And I'm going to tell you why. Oh, I got George Camosis. Sorry, George. I got to make sure I fix that. Don't want that. Boy, that ain't a great sign. Cambo still did it wrong. Uh, no, the reason why I put that fight where I put it is because no matter how good it was one knockdown apiece, and I expected George Kambosos to win, so it wasn't a shock. The first 2 times I expected him to win. The third time when they had the fight schedule, I was like, I don't know where his head at. He got this baby now. He's exhausted from going back and forth. I know how hot it was in South Florida when he was here in the summer getting that work down in Miami. And I know how frustrating it was. And I know the con of the game that Lopez father's been around some old coons. Mayweather Senior, he's been around. He goes around travel, so he's learning a lot on the job, on tricks to do and play. And so when I saw that, I felt like that could have gotten George off of his game. But once I saw him get in there and get that work and get up from, and overcome and knock Lopez down, it wasn't the knockdown, it was the wherewithal to survive and not that look that was on his face. He's had the same look he had when he was on the show. And I said, that dude ain't losing. And I said it. I was on the record saying this about Kambosos, and I did a video on it. And yeah, you're welcome, man. Thanks a lot. But Kambosos fight, I expected Lopez to really overlook him and to think that he can go in there and just punch a dude and knock him out. Like, the reason why you got those other knockouts is because you was boxing first. You beat Lomachenko with a jab. When you didn't come out with a jab, I knew you weren't going to win. So it was a great fight, epic fight, but it was lightweight. The same thing happened 6 divisions above that. And at the same time, for the third time. 4 knockdowns, maybe even 5. 4 heavyweights. Trilogy. No matter how big a fan you are of those guys, Camosis and Lopez, you don't trump the heavyweight division in boxing with that kind of a fight that you leave your soul in the ring. You know what I'm saying? Like would you rather get hit by Deontay Wilder or would you rather be hit by George Camosis? You get what I'm saying? Would you rather be hit by Tyson Fury or Lopez? You know what I'm saying? Like you talking 135, 45 pounds difference. The difference in the weight is more than the boy weigh. Camosis is 140 pounds, soaking wet. Tyson Fury is 270. He's two of that dudes. Would you rather be hit by him or would you rather be hit by Camosis? The kind of smoke that happens in that ring in the heavyweight championship fight where everybody's talking about it the next day, including Dana White, yo, man, nothing trumps that. That's number one for 2021. Hands down, fight of the year. Don't even argue it. Because if you do, you're just making yourself, you're just proving further that you don't understand. That's just like saying, you know, Willie Pep versus, Sandler was better than Ali Frazier, man. The heavyweights win by default because they're 100 pounds bigger. And it only takes one punch to knock you out of your body. And that's what you saw that night. A bunch of dangerous fighting, life threatening punches. And two men that can beat any man on the planet, including Camosis and Lopez. You feel me? Fight of the year. Fury, Wilder, 3. Please don't argue it. That's what it is, man. That's it, man. I told you we was going to get it in. In 2022, we are going in. And for those of you who do and been waiting with on your pins and needles for the sale of the peekaboo and the Philly shell, if you completing your styles in boxing, are on drop dead sales right now until January the 1, 2022. Make sure you go up to the website and check it out. Get those, snatch them up because there will not be any downloads sold in 2022 from Master Boxing. Only those who are in school have access in the Champions Bundle access. You will not be able to purchase peekaboo style, Philly shell, footwork, and all of our stuff is the most extensive library. Why? Because I saw the best do it and I made sure I had all of it plus some stuff. So our peekaboo 1, our peekaboo 2, our Philly shell 1, our Philly shell 2. You're talking about collectively with the footworks, 12 hours worth of freaking learning. And it's stuff you definitely don't know, and the drills and the skill set. And not only that, when you're in the peekaboo style, you got to know how to condition your body and do the biomechanic training before you even start doing the peekaboo. So you'll learn all of those things and how to utilize the bag and how to utilize the floor, how to utilize the skill set and all of the different techniques and the slip balls and all of that stuff. The speed bag, the double end bag, the double end bag. You learn all of those different techniques inside of our program. And believe you me, there is nothing out there like that trifecta that you can get: footwork, Philly shell, peekaboo of ours because I was around the greatest and I made sure that I produced the most fire content that you could possibly find to date. And my guys in the School of Boxing tell you. So January 1, you won't be able to get it anymore. So you have 1 day and a half. So go up there to the website, check us out, make your library complete with our peekaboo and our Philly shells. Go ahead and invest pennies on the dollar. We cut it just so the people who serious can get it. So go get it. Don't be playing, because you got to be friends with my family to make us give you that now after the fact. You can't do it. So do it. Enjoy the holiday. Enjoy the New Year's as you go. Be safe. Know that we have you guys. We thank you for all following and supporting us. We mean that, and continue blessings. And for those of you who did make it through this year, we're glad that you're still with us. And for those of you who didn't, continue blessings to your spirit at God's speed. Special shouts out to my brothers in the School of Boxing. 2022, man, is going to be epic. That's all I can tell you. For those of you who want to get right, make sure you go up to the website. Take advantage of it now. It's a bank robbery going on. Be the culprit. Take advantage of it. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in. Much love. And I'll check all of you out who I didn't get to in the comment boxes. Thanks, brother. My man Ace. Shout out. 2021. It was beautiful. But it's time to tip the cup for 2022. Cheers.